Okay, let's move on. And in this section, we're going to be copying and pasting music. I'm going to be adding title information and some text. I'm also going to show you how to lay out the score a little bit so it looks a little bit nicer, although that's something you'd really do once the composition is finished. But going forward in this lesson, I'm going to change the view to page. So I'm going to come down here to page view, click that, and there we go. Right, I'm just going to delete these notes for a moment. And let's just get the score looking a little bit nice before we put some notes in. Okay, right, so the first thing I'm going to do is add a title. Now you could add a title when you set the score up or after the fact, or if we're making a multi-movement piece, you can add different titles in as you go along. So if you don't add a title at the start, it's not a deal breaker at all. I'm just going to select the text that's already there and I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to call this what we've saved our score as. So my very first score, spell it right, Paul, and I'm going to use a subtitle. I'll just put all about MuseScore. Okay, and I'm going to add the composer as me. So let's just add my name in there. Okay, right, so we've got some text, and this is how MuseScore lays it out. Okay, it uses title text, subtitle text, and composer text in this text block at the top. Now that might not be relevant at the moment, but as we go through this course, the larger courses that's going to be available on my website shortly will go into layout, massive detail. This will make sense to you, but we can put text blocks in anywhere we like, and it uses text styles specifically for different things. And we're currently using a text style for titles. Okay, that's what we're doing. But because we're doing it in the score, this is the main score, the full score. What I've just done here also affects the parts. Now, to show you what I mean, we haven't looked at parts yet. If I open the parts tab here at the top, I'm going to open the flute, you'll see that it's added the title, the subtitle, and the composer text here, although we only added it to the full score. That's because parts and the score are dynamically linked. Whatever you do in the full score is reflected in the parts and vice versa. Okay. For example, I could, if I wanted to, add notes in the part and they would appear in the flute stave in the full score. So let's go and do that. So I'm going to click N and I'm just going to put some notes in here. Okay, so we put a range of notes in, and when I go back to the score, you'll see they've been added in the full score. However, I wouldn't recommend you added notes into the part. Add notes into the full score, and then you know what's going on globally. Okay, you can write in the part, but I think it's best practice not to. Personally, I never do it. Always write in the full score view like we are at the moment, and then look at the part to make sure it's formatted properly. All right, so now we have our text, subtitle, composer, and the part name, the instrument name in the part. Okay, what we're going to do now is lay this score out a little bit. We're going to copy and paste some music about, because MuseScore has some really handy features for doing this. And seeing as we've got 2 bars of music, I'm going to highlight these 2 bars. Now you hold shift down, remember, and then select the last remaining bar. That's what I've done there. And I'm going to press the R key for repeat. And we're just going to repeat this all the way through, and you'll see why in a moment. Okay, there is our stave full of notes. Now, if at any point you wanted to copy some of these notes about, put them somewhere else, for example, in our oboe, select the notes you want or the note you want, and just like a word processor, Command C will copy it and Command V will paste it. Okay, so that's an industry standard shortcut, Command or Control C and V. Okay, We can do it like that, but MuseScore has a really cool little feature in it. Okay, let's say I wanted to select these notes here, but I wanted to paste them at half the duration. Okay, so I'm gonna copy them, and now I'm going to select up here, and I'm going to press Control Shift and Q, and it's made that little phrase half the value. So now all that sits in one bar as eighth notes, right? That's very handy if you're making a tune with repeated sections, or you want to mirror what's going on, or you want to bring out a little emphasis in the woodwinds with what the strings have done, but in a slightly different format. It can be very, very easy and quick to do it like that. Conversely, we can do it the other way around as well. If I highlight this bar here, if I press Control, Shift and W, it's doubled the time value of that phrase. Okay, so you can get some really interesting effects just by cutting and pasting in different time values, either half the time or double time, with keyboard shortcuts. Right, so what else we can do? Let's put a range selection over here. I'm going to cut and paste that, and I can move that anywhere I like. I can copy the entire range if I wanted to, and then again I could use that same technique that we did before, or I could extend it as we did before over the entire range. Okay, so you can do that as well with those keyboard shortcuts. Well, if I just escape out of there, as you're in page view, you'll see that the pages will dynamically move the settings of the bars as you add music in. Now, this isn't really the time to place to do it because we haven't finished composing yet. But let's say we had, and you just wanted to make a little bit of a tidy up, because the spacing at the bottom here is a lot different to this section here, for example. If you left click a bar line like that, just press the return key. You put a system break in. So I'll do that again. Highlight the bar line, press return. Let's do it again. Okay. And let's do that again, maybe on that one there. But if I highlight this bar line here, let's say I wanted to make a new page. Hold the command key down and press return. Will force a page break. Okay. So if I wanted to add a system break, this is a system here, effectively one line of music over all the staves. So the width of the page showing both the instruments in this case is a system. So if I wanted to make a new system on that line, I simply press the bar line, press return. But if I wanted to make a new page after this bar line here, command and return, and it's made a page break. Okay, so you can start to lay out your scores, and as you'll see, there's the last page break I made. If we delete that, we can now edit the page a little bit better and get things laid out more as you'd like them to. So probably not the time and the place to start editing because we haven't finished writing, but I thought it kind of makes sense to show you the link between parts and the full score. If you add text of composer text, subtitle or title, it's reflected in the score. Again, if I delete some of this music, you'll see it's deleted it, and it's automatically made a multi-bar rest. Now when we go back to the full score, you can see the 3 bars that we've deleted from the full score. So that's how to copy and paste into different staves, how to either double or halve the time of the pasted music that you're putting in, and how to lay out the pages gradually so it kind of looks nice as you're composing, although I recommend you do that at the very end, which is what we're going to do in greater detail later on. So with that in mind, let's move on to adding some dynamic markings into this score.